Hey folks, this is Devin. This video is me recapping Bold and the Beautiful from 4 410 to 414 of April 2017. Let's see, recap this week. Oh yeah, Sally, Spectra, and Thomas, their relationship, well, basically, she ended the relationship with Thomas this week. She ended the relationship because she was being forced by her grandmother and Saul, because they were planning on they stole designs from Forrester Creations, thanks to the camera and the brooch that Saul placed in there, which they gave to her sister Coco, and they were able to, they got, visual, tape visual recordings of the new up and coming fashion line that the Forresters are working on for their next fashion show the following week. And Sally was, she's hearing it, from left and right, that she needs to break up with Thomas because Thomas is distracting her from basically, doing her job and trying to get the job done and resurrecting Spectra fashions. And she caved into it, but she has a lot of trepidation. On the one hand, her stealing the designs from Forrester in order for Spectra to basically survive, because they owe creditors money, they owe loan sharks money, and they're desperate. If this fashion line wasn't successful, they're gonna have to close up shop. So you got that on the one hand, and also, but on the other side with Sally, you can tell that she is hesitant to do it, so that she does have, morality. Now her Aunt Sally, on the other hand, she had no problem stealing for the Forresters back in the day, but Sally, she does. And the way that the writers, the Bells, have written the story, her stealing the design, her basically knocking off the Forresters fashion line, it's completely different from what they did with Sally. See, Sally, didn't have a problem stealing from the Forresters, and Sally wasn't a designer. Clark was, her former ex-husband. But Clark wasn't, considered a great designer, and Sally wasn't a designer. Older Sally, Aunt Sally. The young Sally, she actually is a designer. I mean, she's raw, she needs more seasoning, but she does have, some designing talent. And which goes to the fashion reviewer Jarrett, who works for Bill Spencer, Bill forced him to write a bad article, basically, pooning, Sally's original line, which all the designs she made herself. And with the way the story has been written is, her knocking off the Forresters fashion line, it's sort of tragic in a sense, because Sally's first going with her designs, Jarrett actually liked her designs. I mean, he called it raw, but but he saw talent there. But because of Bill basically threatening to fire him from Spencer Communications, he had no choice but to write a bad article, give her a bad review for her first line. So because of that bad review, it's forced the Spectras and Sally into this situation where they feel they have no other choice but to knock off, the Forrester's line in order to keep the company going and float and bring in revenue to pay back all these loan sharks and creditors and bankers. So it, in a way, it's very different from the original Sally, is because the original Sally was, she wasn't, she didn't come from she wasn't in a position of desperation back in the day. While this Sally, she is basically forced in a position of desperation to have to do this. And the tragedy of that is she doesn't have to do it. She doesn't really have to do it because she actually is talented and can design. She's just having this situation with Bill Spencer trying to get the Spectra building. That's just working against her. But she actually does have legitimate design talent. She just has to deal with this tough, obstacle in Bill Spencer basically standing in his way. And with the way that this weekend ends, well, first of all, her sister Coco was at the fashion show, and as the show was going on, she started to notice and put together all the pieces and realized that, the line was stolen from the Forresters. That the direct, almost similar to the Forresters. So, she's not going to be happy, with Sally. At the end of the last episode of this week, she was standing next to Thomas, and Thomas came there to support her, and he realized it too, and the look in his eyes, that relationship is over. There's no way he's going to forgive Sally for this. And Sally even knew it, which is why she broke up with him. And but Coco is the most disappointed of all, because that's supposed to be her big sister. She idolizes her, she looks up to her. And because Sally and company did this, and they unknowingly used her to do it, they've not only compromised her from a legal standpoint, they all really should go to jail for this. Coco, juvenile hall, basically. Not only she has compromised Coco legally, she's compromised her internship at Forrester Creations, that's why they encouraged her to go to Forrester Creations, to basically rip them off. But she's compromised her relationship with RJ, Ridge and Brooke's son. So basically all three of those things are going to be compromised for Coco. And she's not going to be happy with Sally one bit. And she's going to be pissed off, and she may not speak to Sally, I won't say ever again, because it's daytime. It is daytime, and they are sisters. I won't say she'll never speak to Sally again, but they probably won't talk to each other for a long while. Really, the Spectra fashion show, that really was the storyline of this week. Also, they brought Wyatt back into the fold. They showed him and Bill basically plotting, discussing what they're going to do with the Spectra buildings after this show. Second show basically flames out, but it didn't flame out. People were cheering in the runway room, in the showroom, and it was successful. which Bill ain't gonna be too happy about that. But Wyatt, he was on his computer pulling up pictures of Sally, young Sally, and he called her. He thinks she's hot, and I can see where they're going with this. They're gonna, they broke up, her and Thomas. I think the breakup will be finished once and for all. And I can see Wyatt making a play on young Sally. I can see. Here's where I think they're going with it. He's gonna make a play on her, but he's gonna make a play on her to try to maybe sabotage her and Spectra, to try to get his hands on the Spectra building for Dollar Bill. But I think that he's going to end up actually really falling in love with young Sally. And he's basically going to be playing both sides. Basically loving Sally and helping her, but also trying to get his father's approval and get his father's trust. Because the fact of the matter is that the dynamic between him and his brother Liam is obviously Dollar Bill's favorite son, because he's known him longer, etc. But out of the two of them, Wyatt is the one, from a personality standpoint, is a lot more like him though. So because of that, that's going to put some extra pressure, some pressure to Wyatt to get this done and get that Spectra building for Dollar Bill, so he can build his new, building, parking lot, whatever he wants to build, So Wyatt is going to be caught in the middle, and he's going to have to choose a side. I think that Wyatt ultimately is going to side with Sally, young Sally, because I think he's going to actually really fall in love with her. Now, will she fall in love with him? But will she fall in love with him? That's where the dynamic is. They're setting up the triangle between her, Wyatt, and Thomas, because I don't think it's quite going to be completely done between her and Thomas. I think Thomas will be pissed off at her for a while for basically ripping off, his designs. But, at some point, he's gonna soften, and he's gonna try to get back together with her. But by the time he does, she may actually fall in love with Wyatt, that she may not want Thomas back. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. But at the same time though, they've put Wyatt through so much of the ringer. I feel like because when they first introduced him on the show, they put him in a love triangle with Liam and Hope. And and Hope, she chose Liam. And then the second time around, they put him in a love triangle with Liam and Steffi and him. And Steffi chose Liam. So basically, and then they put him before that, they put him in a triangle. Well, it wasn't really a triangle, but they put him in a relationship with Ivy, who was still in love with Liam and couldn't get over Liam. So every relationship he's been in the common denominator has always been Liam involved in some form of fashion. And the poor guy seems like he can't seem to get a break when it comes to women. So it looks like they're finally going to put him in a situation where he's meets a woman who has no connection to his brother whatsoever, and that he has a chance to win the heart of a woman whose heart would truly be his. So in a way, I'm kind of, rooting for that, rooting for Wyatt, and hope he gets to experience that as a character, because he's never really gotten a chance to experience that since he's been on the show. And Thomas, he's obviously a ladies' man, and he probably could get any woman that he wants, and and months ago they had him paired with Sasha, Maya's sister. I actually liked him with, Maya's sister Sasha months and months ago. And they decided to end that. Which I thought was a mistake. He seemed to have been better with her. I thought that they would go back to that storyline. But apparently they decided to drop it altogether. So, but get ready for a Sally, Thomas, Wyatt love triangle. It's coming. So, that recaps this week of Bold and the Beautiful. Hope you guys subscribe to the comments section below and subscribe to my channel. Bye.